everyone. Welcome to Math 105 Online. My name is Troy Minogue. I'll be your instructor for the course. Plan for today is to talk through what we would talk through on a face-to-face class day one. Talk through the syllabus, talk through what is expected from you, what you can expect from me, those kind of things. So let's get rolling. When you come into Blackboard, you're going to come in on the announcements page. There's no announcements. This is my page, but you've been to the Start Here folder. You can access the Contact Instructor folder. I'm going to jump down here to Syllabus, click on the syllabus, and open up the syllabus. I already did that just a second ago. So here's our syllabus for the course. I'm not going to talk through the whole first part. That's pretty much some generic stuff that the university requires us to put in here. The required text is actually not required, it's optional. Our course is loosely based upon this textbook. The topics go in order, same order as the textbook. So when it says chapter 1, it's pretty much chapter 1 from the textbook and so on. The online version is totally satisfactory. You do not need to buy the printed copy. What's nice about the online version is if you decide right now at this moment you're not going to purchase a textbook, but we get to like chapter 10, chapter 11, where things start getting a little bit more difficult, a little more challenging, and you decide, yeah, I need one now. You have the option. You can buy the online version, pay 40 bucks, and you get it immediately because it's online. So that's kind of nice. Once you do that, you also get access to some of their videos. They have videos done by the writer, by the author, videos done by students or probably TAs. So it's a good resource. It's there if you want it. It's not super expensive and it's an option. This is not a correspondence course. It is an online where you have an instructor. You can email me anytime with questions. When you do so, you can expect I will get back to you that day or the next, if it's a Monday through Friday. If you email me Friday afternoon at like 4:35, you may or may not get a response that day. But any other day, you'll get a response that day or the next. Email me on the weekend, just depend upon what I got going, whether I will check my email that weekend and reply or not. A lot of times, yes, sometimes no. Just depends upon what's going on. I don't guarantee anything over the weekend. Weekdays, absolutely, by that day or the next, for sure. 24 hours-ish. Down here, this is what's required by us to put into the syllabus. However, it is applicable for you. You can read through that and you can see what I will do to try to help you become engaged in the class. Since it's online, we don't have contact. It's not super easy to make connections. So this is kind of what I have set up in order to help you feel connected to the class. One big thing is down here we have optional weekly Zoom meetings. I don't have a date and time set. I'll probably send out an email here soon asking you what days work. Based upon the past, yeah, just kind of hit or miss depending upon the term, whether students take advantage of this or not. One term I had basically nobody show up the entire term, but then the other times 2 or 3 show up. So we'll just see how this term goes. I don't usually wait more than 30 minutes. They're typically an hour. So I won't hang out more than 30 minutes if it's just me. But if someone's there, we'll go as long as we need to go, up to about an hour, hour and 15-ish minutes. But an hour and 15 minutes of a Zoom session is a long time. A lot of questions can get answered in that time. But if you are really struggling, these Zoom meetings are super helpful. If you can't make it, but you would really like to, you can watch the Zoom recordings, again, assuming that someone showed up and there were questions and so on. If you have questions, which we'll talk about here in the future, the Zoom meetings are not the only time you can ask questions. You can email me and I'll reply. I'll make another video. I'll do what I need to do in order to answer your questions. All right, so that's my communication with you. Your job, make sure you check Blackboard. Make sure you are engaged in the announcements. I send out announcements usually weekly, not every single week, but usually Monday, Tuesday, I'll send out something pertaining to where we're at in the course. If you are one, I send out an announcement and I link it, or I send an email also. If you are one that likes to link your university email to your personal email, just make sure you're getting these announcements. If not, then make sure you check back in. Every single semester, there's at least 2 or 3 students where I get an error message back that the email doesn't go through, and I have no contact with you if your email doesn't go through. So just make sure you're checking the announcements, and if you haven't got an announcement from me in a long time or ever, check the announcements and check your how you've set up the transfer or the linking of your UAA KPC email to your personal one. Again, those announcements will come fairly regularly, and they do sometimes have some pretty important stuff in it. Sometimes it's just reminders, but sometimes they're pretty important, so you do want to make sure you're getting those announcements. All right, so now down to the work. So this course is divided into 2 units. Every unit has homework and tests. Those are your two main things you'll get graded on. I'm going to jump over here. You can find your homework. So we're going to slide down here to assignments. You can find your homework in the assignments tab. And the course, like I said, it's in 2 units. So we'll start off in unit 1. Unit 1 is made up of 4 chapters, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's an extra credit worksheet we'll talk about here in a second. So I'm ready to, you've watched the syllabus or watched the Start Here recording. You've read the syllabus. You're ready to get rolling. Click on the chapter 8 homework. You can decide whether you want to do the work off the screen on a blank piece of paper, whether you want to print this, do what you need to do. I would print it if I was taking the course, but I'm not taking the course. It's your course. So do what you want to do. I would not use all of your multiple choice testing strategies to do the homework. I would actually graph this equation and find an answer and then check to see which one it matches up with. And all the way through this whole entire homework, don't use guess and check, don't use process of elimination, because on the test, not every question is multiple choice. I would say it's 70% free response and 30% multiple choice or less. Okay, there are multiple choice on the test, but most of the questions are free response, meaning it just says graph this equation and you have to do the work. Why do I have multiple choice? Over the last 15 to 20 years of doing this, last 17 years of doing this, it just seems to be the best, fastest way for you to get feedback. You are allowed to submit your homework twice. So once you submit your homework, you can get immediate feedback as to which questions you got right and which questions you got wrong. And so you can correct the ones you got wrong and resubmit. If I didn't do it multiple choice and you just submitted all your handwork, all your written work, and so on, it would take me probably a day or 2 days to grade every single homework problem from every single student from my 3 classes. So it's not time efficient for you to get good feedback. So that's why I did this about, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago into this format. And it's good. Homework is due, I'm getting ahead of myself, but homework is due like at midnight on Sunday night. If you decide to wait until 9 o'clock on Sunday night and you submit your homework, I'm not going to grade it in those 3 hours from 9 to midnight. But this way you'll get immediate feedback and you can get a second submission anytime you submit it. It's more efficient this way. So that's why I'm doing it that way. Okay, so I got sidetracked a little bit on why is it multiple choice, but here's your chapter 8 homework. What are there, 30 questions or so? Oh, 16. So chapter 8 homework only has 16 questions. Some have up to 20, 25. I'm not sure why I said 30. I don't think any have 30. So how do you submit it? So you sit down, you do all your homework. How do you submit it? Cruise back over here. Go to tests right below assignments and notice there is a homework quiz for every single chapter. Cruising on down here, 12 through 14. Okay, so I've done all my homework. I was here, I did question 1, I thought it was answer A. I did question 2, I thought it was answer B. I did 3, and so on. I'm ready to submit it. Go over here to homework quiz, click on it, click begin, and simply treat this like a bubble sheet. There's no questions here. These are the questions. You are simply bubbling in what we thought that was A, we thought that was B, I think this is D, and I just bubble in what I think my answers are. Notice as soon as I do that, these switch to saved. So if the phone rings and I get called away, my internet goes down, power goes out, whatever weird thing happens, your answers are saved. You don't have to ever hit this save all answers. I'm not sure why it's here. Everything is already saved. Okay, so once you're done, okay, let's say you do it all in one sitting or partial sittings, whatever, and you're ready to submit, hit save and submit. Do not hit this button until you are done, and then it will submit. Don't need to hit save because it's automatically saved. If you just need to leave, you're not done yet, just leave. Click out of it and go do what you got to do. And then when you're all done, hit save and submit. And your homework is submitted. You will then get a score. It'll grade it. You'll get a score per question. If you don't get a point, if you get 0, you missed it. If you get 1, you got it right. And then go back through and try it again. Okay? All right, so there's homework. I'm going to jump back over here to our syllabus. Jump down to the bottom. So when is the homework due? Like I said, your homework, the class is broken into 2 units. Our first unit is the first 4 chapters, then we have a test. Second unit is the next 3 chapters, and then we have a test. This is when your homework is due. So chapter 8 we'll work on from now until the 7th of September. Well, not February, to 7th of September. Then we start chapter 9 and so on. Notice that chapters 9 and 10, chapters 10 and 11 are only 1 week long. Okay, homework, 20 points, there's 20 questions. Oh no, that's introduction quiz. There's 15 questions on chapter 8, there's 16 on chapter 9, and so on. I was wrong. Chapter 11 does have 32 questions, and some of these have some close to 30. Notice you have 2 weeks to do your homework assignments. So 20 questions, 30 questions, even 40 questions is not unheard of in a 2-week time period. You should not be stressed for time to get this done, unless you wait till the last minute in order to start it. Okay, don't do that. It won't go well. Try to get going on your homework right away, and then you might have some extra time at the end. Or even get yourself ahead so that when you get to these 1-week sections, it's not going to be so daunting. All right. Homework. Hopefully that makes sense on the homework. Do your homework, submit it, move on to the next chapter, do your homework, submit it, and so on. When you are done with chapter 11 and you're ready to take the test, now what? I'm going to go back down here, sorry. Notice there is a 3-week testing window, September 29th to October 19th. Your test must be taken within that 3-week testing window. If you are a shift worker, you work in the oil field and you work 2 and 2, 3 and 3, hopefully not 6 and 2, but I know those are out there. But so if you work a shift schedule, plan accordingly. So look at your testing window. If your shift follows over or covers that entire testing window, you need to make contact with me, make plans of how you're going to get the test taken. So how do I take my test? Where to go? Okay, so your unit tests are proctored. You have 2 options. You can take it at one of the UAA branches, or you can use HonorLock. Taking it at UAA branch, it'll be paper-based, it'll be printed, and you'll sit down and take the test just like you would in a face-to-face course. HonorLock is obviously online, and you can take it whenever, wherever, I won't say wherever, whenever and almost wherever you want to take it. As long as it's quiet, private room, you can take it. It can be in an environment where there's some noise, but it needs to be somewhere where it's a good testing environment. If you take it at a UAA branch, they want you to make contact at least a week ahead of time. to let them know you want to test. And I need you to make contact with me this first week, maybe the second week of the course, to let me know you need to test, want to test at a UAA branch. Okay, so if you're not going to use HonorLock, make contact with me this week or next week and let me know you want to use a UAA branch. Otherwise, I don't know where to send your test to, and you'll show up to take the test at KPC or Matsu, and there'll be no test for you because you never told me to send it. So let me know if you want to test at a testing center, and I'll get the test sent to you. If you do want to test at testing center, read that paragraph. Okay. For everybody else who doesn't want to take a test at a testing center, you can use HonorLock. Here's my opinion. Here's the only drawback to HonorLock. You must use Google Chrome as your browser. Some people don't like Google Chrome. I can't control that. Okay, so if you do not want to download Google Chrome, then your only option is to go to a testing center. Otherwise, you have to download Google Chrome because HonorLock is based or is a Chrome-based software. Okay, so, and that's all spelled out in here. If you want to use HonorLock, you don't have to let me know. You just take your test. On that note, if you want to use a UAA branch, but let's just say, I don't know, something happens and you can't get there, you can always use HonorLock and take your test. You don't have to go to the branch. Vice versa, if you want to use HonorLock and then something happens and your technology just fails you, computer breaks down, internet goes wonky, whatever, you need to go to a testing center, you have to let me know so I can get the test to that testing center. HonorLock, I don't need to know. UAA branch, I need to know. Okay? On test day, cruise down here towards the bottom of this. On test day, you have a 2.5 hour testing window. I'm down here. You have a 2.5 hour testing window. Most students take about 90 minutes. Every once in a while, some will be in the 45-minute, 50-minute range, but most people are in the hour and a half range. And then there's some who are in the 2-hour range. You have taken a lot of tests in math up to this point in time. You know what type of tester you are. Do you take a long time? Plan 2 hours. You're the fastest one, you're the first one done. Yeah, probably about an hour. If you're normal, hour and a half. Okay, so that's just kind of a guideline. If I were taking the test, I'm a pretty fast math test taker. I would still block out 2 hours because I don't like being rushed. I don't work well underneath stress, especially stress when I know it's super important. Okay, so just plan accordingly, give yourself some time. You get a page of notes, both front and back, 8.5 by 11, normal piece of paper, front and back. I like handwritten just because then you're not going to type it and then have someone else just photocopy it. But I think that is a disadvantage of the person who just is using someone else's notes. So if you want to type it, I don't care. But handwritten for me, I think makes more sense because you have graphs, you have notation, you have a bunch of weird stuff, and handwritten just makes more sense. But you do what you need to do. You can use a calculator. Has to be not computer or phone based because you don't have either one. Once you log into HonorLock, you can't access other windows, so you cannot access your calculator if you've been using a computer-based calculator. It has to be just a typical handheld calculator, not a phone. Okay, I think that's the most of it. So just really quick, going back to that testing window, it must be done in the testing window. Could something happen where I give you an extension? Yes. If there's a medical emergency, we all know that happens, or just any other kind of emergency. Your car breaks down on the way to the testing session, you get in a major wreck, I don't know. Some emergencies happen. Just let me know as soon as you can, and we'll plan something accordingly. Try not to wait till the end of the testing window to take your test, so that if these medical emergencies happen, we can go to plan B, and we can get it done within the testing window. But medical emergencies happen, and we can make an adjustment. That is a lot more difficult / impossible at the end of the term. Okay, so if bad things happen at the end of the term, we'll have to figure something out or just hope they don't, because it's the end of the term and it's hard for me to extend things. I have not had good success with students finishing incompletes, like maybe one person in the last 17 years who's completed an incomplete. So I highly discourage people trying to get an incomplete because it doesn't work. And I don't give very many, slash not at all. That's not true. I just did give one, but it was just someone, anyways. Don't plan on an incomplete. Get your stuff done. All right, so there is the testing rules, etc. To access your Chapter 1 test or your Unit 1 test, you're going to go right here. You're going to click on that. But notice you don't see this, but it's hidden from you until the 29th. You're not going to see it until the 29th. But once the 29th comes, this will become available on your screen. It's on mine, but it's not on yours right now. Okay. Point values. So if I cruise down here, oh no, sorry, there's more on the test. I knew there was more. So you've done an entire chapter, no, an entire unit worth of homework. You've done 4 chapters for Unit 1, 3 chapters for Unit 2. That's a lot of material. For me to test all of that material would be really difficult, slash a 5-hour test. Can't do that. So what is it that you can expect that I'm going to narrow all this stuff down to? Go back here to content. I'm going to go to course content. And I have review worksheets. I click on Unit 1, and notice there's a Unit 1 review worksheet. There's these other review worksheets up here also, but Unit 1 review worksheet, I click on that, and I can do all of these problems. All of these topics are on the test. If it's on the review, it's on the test. Vice versa. If it's on the test, you will have seen it on the review, and you will have seen it in the homework. So the review is a great place for you to know, what do I need to know for the test? Notice solving is a big deal. You need to be able to solve every type of equation and inequality that we've done in those 4 chapters. Solving is a big deal. Know how to solve. Then there's some systems of equations and some set stuff and some different stuff, word problems, but know how to do solving. That's a big deal, as you can see. All right, so if I were taking this class, I would sit down with my 1 page of notes, and I would take this review like a test. Okay, I'm not sure why that's there, a little typo. I would take this like a test with my page of notes. Once I'm all done, I go back here, I click on the Unit 1 review key, and I check my work. And I cruise through here, and you can see what I've done, and you can check your work. As you look at what I've done, and you look at your answer, if they don't match, then you can try to figure it out. And if you can't, then what do? We go back here, and you click on this Unit 1 review recording. It's kind of long, so I split it into 2. One's at 55 minutes, the other is 26, so almost an hour and a half worth of recordings. So I split it in 2 parts. Here I talk through every question and give you a better understanding of what it was that I did as I showed my work and did the problems. Okay, so you have options, you have resources. Okay, so next thing. I kind of forgot about this. As you're going through the homework, as you're going through the review, if you need help, I have made a recording, chapter 8 through 11 for Unit 1, and every once in a while I'll pick a question, or somebody has a question that they really would like me to do a recording on, and I'll just do it for everybody. So you get a freebie. Chapter 9, question 12, I talk you through how to do Chapter 9, question 12. There's more scattered amongst these chapter recordings. Click on Chapter 8 recordings, and you'll see I have a recording for every topic in Chapter 8. When I do the end of the year course evaluation, the number 1 thing students like is the recordings. If you are struggling in math, if math does not come easy, I would listen to every single one of these recordings. They're only 12 minutes, 10 minutes, a couple longer, 22, 28, but most of them are in that 10 to 15 minute range. You could probably listen to every video, every recording from each chapter in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. They're YouTube based. I link them to my YouTube channel. And so you can speed me up, slow me down, pause me. It's going to be about 2.5 hours of videos for all of them. If you're taking this face-to-face, that's less time than you'd spend in 2 weeks in a face-to-face course going to the campus twice every week. Okay, so consider listening to every video if math is difficult for you. If you find yourself struggling with a topic as you go through the homework, just find the topic and listen to the recording. Okay, if you're decent at math and you can do that, that would work great. Otherwise, I would listen to as many of them as I need to listen to. When you email me, my assumption is that you've watched the recording. If you are struggling with a topic and you email me, my assumption is that you've watched the recording. If you haven't watched the recording, you're not using all the resources that I've worked pretty hard to set up for. Okay, these recordings take some time. It took me probably 2 weeks to make all these recordings. Okay, it takes some time and use them. Okay, most students find them very helpful. All right. I think we're getting close to the end. So we got point values. I think that's where we're at now. Got back to point values. Notice your homeworks are 20-ish to 30-ish points, but your test is 100. Tests are biggest part of the grade. They're over 50% of the grade. Between the two, there's 106 plus, so there's 226 points out of 400. Over 50% of your grade, 58, 59% of your grade is tests. So what if I don't do well on the test? Well, I've kind of built in a few things that help you. You have extra credit on Unit 1. I think there's 8 points on this one. Yep, you have 8 points worth of extra credit on Unit 1. There's also a secondary one for Unit 1. Easiest way for I see it on tests. There's a lot of math notation you have to type into a test. You may need to do a square root symbol or a fraction or whatever. So I have this test practice extra credit worksheet, not worksheet, exercise where you learn how to use the math editor. I have a video that goes with it. I'll talk more about this later, but there's another 8 points. You have 16 points worth of extra credit between these two. Your Unit 1 test, these points get added directly to your Unit 1 test. Your Unit 1 test, was 106 points. 16 points is more than a letter grade worth of extra credit on the Unit 1 test. If you really struggle with tests, then I really encourage you to do the extra credit. There's no retakes, so that's my way of kind of helping the test out for those who have massive test anxiety, etc. Okay, more than a letter grade worth of extra credit. Take advantage of it. The Unit 2, just the same. There's another, only one extra credit assignment, but it's like 16 points. Okay? If you want to improve your grade, need to improve your grade, look at the extra credit. Okay. I think that is about all. Read through the syllabus. If you have questions, email me. That's the easiest way to get hold of me. I will email back as fast as I can email you back. That is about all I have. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later.